We would like to thank the following sponsors: iRise India, Manlift, JLG, Pulit, our media partner, OSH India, our association partners, WSH Asia, World of Safety and Health Asia, WSH, World Safety and Health, Africa, Middle East, South Asia, OSHI, Enhancing HSE and S Culture, Safety and High Supplier, USP, Ubik Safety Products. We would like to thank the following sponsors: iRise India, Manlift, JLG, Pulit, our media partner, OSH India, our association partners, WSH Asia, World of Safety and Health Asia, WSH, World Safety and Health, Africa, Middle East, South Asia, OSHI, Enhancing HSE and S Culture, Safety and High Supplier, USP, Ubik Safety Products.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to IPAF's Don't Fall for It live webinar, a global safety campaign. As fall from height continues to be the leading cause of workplace injury, IPAF has been working over the years to promote safety and correct fall protection when working on platforms. So, before we dig deeper into this topic and fully understand the cause of accidents, let me extend a warm welcome to our first speaker, Mr. Jason Woods, Director, Regional Manager for IPAP Middle East and South Asia.
Okay, good morning, everybody. I think we've had some teething problems with Ali's internet connection, so I will take the lead from this point. Thank you, Ali, and I'm sure we'll see you in the background for a minute or so. So first of all, thank you very much for a number of people. First of all, the speakers, the presenters, giving up their time when they had a scary email off Jason Woods. Please, would you join me in today's session of launching 2022's campaign of Don't Fall for It. So thank you very much, Dr. Krishna Sen, who is an absolute king of India, I think, or one of the kings of India in terms of driving safety standards forward. And then another good friend of mine, Mr. Mohit Madan. Again, I know I was pestering him yesterday in terms of getting the connections and so on as he was traveling back into Mumbai. But a very good friend of IPAF, and ever since we've started connecting, always been a big driver of trying to reduce accidents and incidents and sharing awareness. It's very difficult and challenging because as professionals, we're meant to know everything. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of background of, first of all, Mr. Dr. Krishna Sen. I've done a little bit of research, and Dr. Sen, he's now currently sitting 17 years with L&T in numerous safety roles. But in terms of where it all started for Dr. Sen was back in 2002 when he started studying in the National Institute of Working Life. So it's an amazing journey for sure. Dr. Sen also has been involved with ASSP, the Indian Safety Chapter, and currently he still sits as president, and I think he's still got a few more years to go ahead of him. So thank you very much, Dr. Sen, for joining us. And then Mr. Mohit Madan, again, another great ambassador in the industry, carrying 16 years experience in the construction field on, let's call it, plant and equipment, from cranes, diggers, dumpers, and access platforms. Mohit's done his study back in the UK some time ago, and he graduated in the regional business business school in London. So again, both presenters, both panelists, thank you very much for your time, and certainly I'm sure we're going to have some good fun. The launch of today is the launch of a three-phase session, where today is a short webinar to get a taste for what we're going to discuss and focus on. Then week commencing the 14th of November, we are approaching sites to help sites with toolbox talks, master classes, and some real activity in terms of practical sessions with the projects. And then we move into Osh, India in Mumbai on the 24th of November. So it's a great step. It's a follow-on from Indian National Safety Week, which I was very proud to deliver 4 webinars over 4 days. And again, we had a great following. So thank you very much, guys, for joining us. I'm sure we're going to have some great fun over the next few weeks or months. And also thank you for the safety people, professionals who's attended the session this morning. I'm sat in Saudi Arabia, Ali is sat in the Philippines and you guys are sat in India. So the pandemic has actually done us justice, I think, in one hand, that we can connect quite cleverly around the world and still talk safety. So thank you very much. Ali, if you can change the slides, if you can move the slides on. I think we may have lost Ali totally. She had trouble with her connection this morning. Okay, so if we open the floor a little bit in terms of the panelists, Dr. Krishna, if we can just give an overview of what's your experience just looking at working at height equipment. I'm going to try and focus on PPE to start off with. What's your experience? What you generally find in the workplace?
Yeah, good morning, Jason and the colleagues who have joined from various locations. It's great. Thank you for inviting me. I actually started, I'll give a little background. I started as a structural mechanical engineer, erecting structures, working at height. So as an user of, and then of course I moved to safety sometimes 30 years back after 5 years of, execution engineer. And also I know the pain when, we talk about the compliance and the thing. Now, coming to the topic of the day, this is very important and very relevant
Sen,
topic.
I think that,
am I audible?
You are frozen also.
Is my audio okay? Am I audible, Jason? Hello? Am I audible? Are you able to hear me? Hello?
So, hi, Dr. Sen. I think my boss now just got frozen. So now is like, since everything is pandemic and the total internet connection is chopping it all down. So why don't you introduce yourself and how is your work related on promoting the safetyness of
If you would just
the
bear with
height
us
protection?
while we try and fix the connection.
Jason, I think you were not there for a couple of seconds, and now you are back. No, I just started telling about
presenters on the platform in front of us. So just bear with us a minute. I think that for some reason we've lost.
No, am I audible?
Dr. Sen, can you hear us or not?
Yeah, I am able to hear you.
Okay, I think that it's frozen. So can we try and introduce, or can we put Mohit off mute and can we bring Mohit forward?
Yeah. Good morning. Can you hear me, Jason?
We are able to hear you.
Good. I could hear Dr. Sen as well. I think Jason.
I think there is a problem with Jason. Yeah. And my colleagues are telling that they are able to hear me.
So can I. So I think Dr. Sen, why don't you continue and we'll come back to me. So you're going.
Okay, then thank you. Thank you. Actually, if I'm audible, then I continue. I just wanted to say a little bit background to,
Yes, yes,
I
you are
started with a.
absolutely 100% audible. I think you can continue, please.
Okay, thank you. So, I started as a execution engineer, in construction site. So I had around 5 years, and then I moved to safety sometimes in 1990, and then this 32 years in safety after my execution role. So it was very fascinating to see how this how the journey, how the situation changed, particularly in India. And of course, we had some projects in Far East and Middle East as well that point of time. So I think we have traveled a long way. Uh, the way we used to work at height, say 30 years back or 35 years back, and the way we to do today has changed a lot. The harness have changed, the access equipment have changed, the platforms have changed, the scaffolding has changed, and everything has changed and changed for better. But I think still the working at height constitutes a large amount of fatality and accidents uh, as on date in construction, and of course in other businesses as well, where working at height is associated. So this is a very important topic which you have chosen, and I think there is no end to learn, to learn and getting updated, because technology and innovations are going on. So we have seen so many changes, as I have mentioned, about the equipments and things like that. And naturally, for every equipment, specific recommendation, specific knowledge has come, because uh, getting an equipment is fine, but we need to use it properly. For example, uh, we were dependent on scaffolding and things like that, which was, of course, of not that good standard those days. Now we have got very good thing. We have got MEWP. It was very rarely used. I was in a project in Russia in 1993, 95. We were doing a project for the Russian soldiers who were coming back from East Germany to Russia after the unification of Germany's. So it was funded by German government, and the project was in Russia. So Russians were taking over, and it was a unique experience to see that mechanization that time itself. So what happened? We found that there was a Finnish contractor, Finland, who were doing our boiler, and they brought the MEWP and all. And MEWP we have seen earlier, but not that extent. So they did almost all the cladding work using MEWP. And after that, when I came back to India in 95, 96, I started, insisting on wherever possible we can have this, and we must use it in the right way. Of course, in couple of industries, including ours, we have got to a great extent to utilization of, this type of equipment to avoid, scaffolding, the timing and all. And of course, it is very fast. And then, but it is very important that we use those equipment in the right way. So, and that is, I think, this topic will touch upon that. So I think this is a great subject we can talk at length. But I think to begin with, this is the comment, and then I hand over the floor to Mohit, who might introduce and go forward.
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Sen. I hope, Jason, can you hear us right now, or is it still? I think Jason is.
I'm just trying to log in on a different device. I seem to keep losing for some reason.
Sure. So I think till Jason manages his way out, I'll do the same like Dr. Sen and self-introduce myself, and we can wait for him to join the conversation, hopefully very shortly. So great, Dr. Sen, hearing about you. Just to give you a little bit about myself, I've been working in the construction industry since 2006. We own a large fleet of 600 plus equipments consisting of cranes, aerial work platforms, telehandlers, and so on. We also, in the last 2 years, have started a construction company where we are having about 2,000 plus workforce, where we are doing various erection for steel plants presently. So, as you correctly said, working on height being the most one of the highest, the most riskiest factors, which which we all as safety professionals would like to ensure that it is done correctly. Um, Aerial work platforms being the safest equipment to be working on height uh, in compared to scaffold and other technologies. If you just look at the number of aerial work platforms, um, in India, as Dr. Sen was saying, in 1990, I believe he saw the use of aerial work platform in India. I believe the generation only started from 2009 or 2010. But if you just go back, in US, just to give you some numbers, in the US alone, there are 650,000 aerial work platforms. We call them mobile elevated work platforms, MUPS, aerial work platforms. In India, we like calling them scissor lifts, boom lifts, man lifts, so on. So in US, there are about 600,000, 650,000. In India, about 9,000. So we can just realize that even after India having the number of projects, which US is not, but the stringent working of height regulations that exist worldwide, which still are not there in India, that is the difference in the population of numbers. So using these kind of equipments correctly is also being the safest, but using these kind of equipments correctly and safely is also very, very important. And I hope Jason can throw some light further onto it and take us through today's webinar.
Uh, Thank you for that wonderful introduction to Dr. Sen and to Mr. Mohit. So, before everything else, I would like to call on our gentlemen again to answer few of the questions. Be prepared. So, anyone could take part or answer it first. So, the first question would be: should the HSE officer understand more detail about fall protection equipment when using a harness and lanyard in a new platform? So, what is your stand about this, Dr. Sen or Mr. Mohit? If who wants to answer it first?
I would
Okay,
leave
so
the floor to Dr. Sanya.
let me take this. Yeah, being in the profession as the in that role, I think you see it is very important. The concerned person, whether he is a EHS officer, manager, or whatever designation is, he has to understand the whole thing. He has to. It is a basic job to do the risk assessment at the beginning, and it is important to understand that what are the equipment he is going to use, the do's and don'ts, the manufacturers recommendations associated with the MEWP, because every manufacturer has their own guidelines, and the best industry practices. So it is because there is nothing, many a times there are a couple of things which is not black and white, so you have to follow the best industry practice and your past experience as well. So I think we need to take in consideration couple of things, and definitely he has to get more detail, and he has to be knowledgeable and updated, very importantly, about the whole thing, MEWP, the equipment, the practices and all. Yeah, over.
So, thank you for answering it, Dr. Sen. Do you have a stand for this question, or do you have an answer for this question, Mr. Mohit?
I think he has answered it perfectly. I could not add anything more to this.
Okay, so the next question would be should the rental provider supply the PPE equipment, meaning harnesses, for the operator?
Mohit, I think you should take this, perhaps.
Sure. Sure. So I believe actually if we go to this question, I would just like to add a few lines before this. I think the most important part of this equipment is as users, as safety professionals. I think the most important factor that we really need to understand is that these machines are to be operated only from the platform and not from the ground control, which we are actually very popularly doing in India. The ground control is purely for emergency use only. And using these machines from the platform is the only way how they've been designed. If you even if you look at the ground control, you will see there are toggle switches, and in the platform there are joysticks. The joysticks allows the movement of to control the movement of the speed, the working of the hydraulic movements. So it is, just imagine you're probably at 120 feet at height, and if somebody is using the machine right from ground and somebody is on 120 feet height and he wants to move to the right or the left, so there's someone from the ground trying to view from the sunlight. How does one communicate? You have, yes, you can say you can use walkie talkies or you can use other kinds of instruments, but that is not the way. It is designed, the machine is designed to go into confined spaces, and for a person to have that kind of judgment from 100 feet below is absolutely impossible. So the most important thing is that these equipments need to be operated only from the platform, and obviously using the right PPE, though it is not a part of a rental company's um, um, a service to be provided, but I feel it is definitely very important for the rental company to guide the users that these are the correct PPEs, these are the correct harnesses to be used with the size of the person, maybe where it has to be latched onto the platform, being another very, very important factor, as we feel we can latch it anywhere on the platform. But there are certain points given by the OEM which have been created just in case while you're traveling, and let's say you're moving with the machine and you unfortunately had you managed to somehow fall out of the platform. Those certain joints are created to take the impact load as well. So it is extremely important to use the right PPE, and are the people trained to use it? Has the employer or the contractor done the right risk assessment? So definitely, we have a team in place who would, be, it's very difficult to conduct it, answer this question in 5 minutes, but definitely my team would be available to answer any questions. We'll share our emails, and Jason's always there to use the correct PPE to take this forward. Thanks.
So
Okay, thanks, Mohit. I do
You take
apologize
over.
that I've lost my cameras. There's a few headaches from this side. Thank you very much, Mohit, for your answer. I believe you can all hear me loud and clear, but I think it's the camera is giving me the headache. So yeah, I would totally agree, Mohit, with the rental provider, because how would the rental provider understand the activity of the user? The user may have more than one persons in the platform. If we talk about extra capacity platforms, there could be 3 passengers, one of them meaning an operator. And a very good point what you mentioned regarding the operator should always be in the platform. You see, when we look at the global statistics, traditionally we would see around 36% of accidents reports worldwide was falling out of the platform. But we have seen an increase on the 2020 report, the IPAF global report, notching up to 42%. So we can see this is still a headache for all of us. And Dr. Sen, I think importantly, as you mentioned, it's very important to understand the risk assessment as a user, as a safety professional, and then maintaining that practice then to that level. So 2 very good questions and 2 very good answers there. If we move on to the third question, which I prepared, Ali, can you move on to the next slide for me? So why is the use of harnesses always seems to be last resort or last thought, and most of the time the harnesses are incorrect? Why do we generally see this? Sometimes to see a full body harness.
If I may pick it up, am I audible?
Okay. Yes.
Should I pick it up? Yeah. Mohit?
Yes, sir, please.
See, there are multiple reasons actually. Perhaps sometimes the user may not be knowing, there may not be training and proper understanding about the usage, the lateral loading, where it should be connected and not. I think it is, as you have given some data in terms of the usage. So naturally, the training is also very limited, particularly in India, because we have projects, international projects, and I find that the training requirement for MEWP and associated things are very specific. Unfortunately, we are yet to make that formalization of that part. So the operator as well as the user has to, sometimes the management also is not aware because of these finer things. Okay, it is a safe equipment, but when the user is going to use it, there are multiple precautions which have to be taken. And of course, harness or restraint, whatever specifically required for that particular purpose, is a very important part. And people may not be knowing about the differences and the details. So it is very important that not only provide the equipment, and we also give them the right amount of training, not only at the level of the user, workers, technicians and the crew, but also at the level of the people who make decision. So I think that is one of the reasons for not organizing it in the right time and in the right way. So I think the awareness and understanding at various level have to improve through available means like training and workshops and this type of event which we are organizing today. I think that provides an opportunity for people to get updated. Over to you. Thank you.
I totally agree with you, Dr. Sen, and I think it's a lack of.
Thank you, Dr. Krishna Sen. That's excellent. And when we look at equipment, sorry, Mohit, did you want to step in?
Yeah, I was just continuing to that. I was just saying that I absolutely agree with Dr. Sen, where he said, the lack of understanding or the lack of knowledge yet to be brought into this industry for this particular use of such equipments, and understanding the difference of lack of, the restraint to fall arrest is very, very important to understand.
I think if I can just pick up on this and just following on from both of your comments, the divide between restraint and fall arrest is very important because what we're trying to avoid is an operator or a passenger having the potential risk of climbing if they can't quite reach their work zone, their work area. They feel safe because they have a harness connected. Depending on the length of the lanyard, it'll depend where they connect their carabiner, their hook to. So if they wanted to climb then and hook the hook onto a handrail, then they would feel that they've got a bit of room to move then. The disadvantage is then we've increased a risk of fall. And then if we fall, we then increase the risk of tip over of a side load. We work in kilonewtons in the elevating work platform field. And an average small machine will hold around 200 kilonewtons. So it's around about, if we call it 20 kgs. So naturally that the weight of a body as a sudden impact fall could potentially take us to a tip zone. And even on the larger machines, it's a lot, it's double, it's 400 kilonewtons. That's only given us 40 kgs. So there is a lot of factors we should take into considerations. And this is where I'll revert back to the first question of, does the HSE officer or manager understand enough about fall protection and the way it's designed for? We have a very good old saying in our industry that one shoe don't fit all. And I think that's right across the board worldwide. And it's the same concept for elevating work platforms and using PPE equipment. What I'm really pleased to announce now is that we train an average of around 600 students in India through the IPAF training program. And within the program, we do talk obviously about harnesses, but the gap where I feel, what I experience is the training provider will talk more about restraint lanyards, and then we get back to the project as an operator and the user, and then we're then using fall arrest lanyards, and they're both not the same design and they come with complications. So I think even though we are teaching in India, I think that we should communicate a lot more to the contractors and see what we can do to help the contractors understand more depth then of this type of area. Because looking at those worldwide statistics, 36% was a traditional trend, and now we've kind of notched up over 40% of falls from height. So they are still out there. They are quite heavy in our industry. MUPS and aerial work platforms are very safe to use. They give us great access and reach, depending on the design of the machine, but we must be safe in the platform, and that's important. I don't think we even got time today to talk about emergency rescue. We will move that to our OSH India masterclass, because that, again, is a big topic on its own. So an easy question, which type of harness would you recommend being used in a boom lift? I think that's one burning question for us. Which type of harness would you recommend being used in a boom lift?
Yeah, may I come in? Jason. So I think it is very important that they don't use a waist belt, they would use a full body harness. And they also have a short restraint because, the moment, as you have mentioned, the multiplication factor, with the moment we give them a large lanyard and the mobility of, standing on the handrail or going out of this, all these probabilities will be much reduced when they know that they have to have a short restraint and everything has to be done most, preferably when they are within the platform. Of course, some special cases when manufacturer has a separate sort of clearance and all, but I think it is very important that they remain within the platform, and the short restraint is a better thing. But I think it is also very important that they should understand little bit of technicality. I'm sure maybe it is being addressed in the master class or the programs which you have
Okay,
just
very
mentioned.
good answer. Very good.
Thank
Yeah,
you. Yeah. So I
very
think
good
people will
answer,
understand.
Dr. Sen. So moving on. Yes. What I would also like to add in is that when a lanyard becomes short as possible as a restraint, we must also remember that this also increases other risk activities because perhaps the operator don't have the ability to move maneuver around as long and he's got a 0.5 lanyard, then surely it's defeating the object. So again, we kind of head back towards the first question of the HSE officer, does he understand enough about products? Because if I can't reach, I'm going to unclip, I guess, as an operator, and I'm going to most likely climb into this work zone rather than moving that platform into the work zone. So I think that certainly restraint lanyards are certainly the key, but I think that we also need to identify the activity because again, one shoe don't fit all, and we have to think about risk management at height. So very important. Traditionally, we generally see around 1.8 meter lengths of lanyards always used in elevated work platforms. And sometimes it's too long, so the user will either wrap the lanyard around the handrail to shorten it, or they will kind of somehow put it around their body to shorten it. So an interesting you mentioned, Dr. Sen, was the safety belt, like a waist harness. Most countries, we don't use these unless it's used on specific jobs. If we was to take a fall with a waist harness at height from a platform, it would do us more damage than justice. So just on my final question is moving back then into, we mentioned training, because that has to be there for sure. As a contractor, Dr. Sen, let's imagine that Mohit is your training provider, for an example. Um, what would you expect? What would you like to see from a training provider's perspective? What should they do? When you send your students to class, what should they come back? What kind of knowledge should they come back to?
Yeah, thank you, Jason. I think for this, I think uh, you know I, the contractor or the owner, whoever send the people to get the training done. I think they will expect them to have a comprehensive understanding and some logic, because you see what we talk about the multiplication factor due to sudden fall and the impact on the equipment, which I was just trying to tell. So basically, they should have, because they are all grown up. Yes, they maybe at various level of their educational background, but with proper sort of animations and examples, I think they will understand why some action should be done some in a particular way and why something should not be done. So if there is enough logic and proper sort of animations and understanding, so I think the expectation would be that they come, they not only they follow, but they also tell others, whoever associated in a way or the other, what are things to be do's and don'ts and the right way of doing things. And I think they should be able to internalize it as a sort of good practice, because there should be some sort of practical demo apart from the classroom, I mean the say, presentations and all. I think there should be an opportunity for some sort of, it may be a modified sort of thing, but a small demo with things, so that wherever possible, so that they understand the impact, and think that will be very good for people to remember it and the concept. I'll give a small example. I think to connect it, we went to a safety innovation school in GSENC in Korea to establish a similar facility in India, which we have now got in Hajira as well as in Kanchipuram in Chennai. So I was first time, by the time I had 25 years experience in construction, and I was one of the 4 participants. I mean, there were a lot of Korean project managers. It was their own in-house program, and we were invitees. So first time in my life, I was lifted. I mean, with the team, 3-4 people were there. We were lifted with full body harness to a distance of 2 meters and left there for maybe few seconds. And the impact was so, not nice. So we said, enough is enough. I have understood. Please take me down. So that gave me the understanding why it is very important to rescue the person who is hanging at height. And we sometimes take time. Okay, we will organize. Okay, we do not have the preparedness, but that one lifting with a full body harness, 2 meter, 3 meter height, the load I experienced, I would have never understood that by reading a book or going through a presentation. So I think that is how is the power of experiential understanding for the managers and those who make decisions. And of course, workers also, I mean, crew and technician also, they make decisions. So it's very important that if they realize that why the right way, why this is the right way, and why this is not the correct way, and why they should do. I think once they got them, they'll never make mistakes. So I will never make the mistake of delaying rescue, because I know that a person who is very balanced way lifted, very, very slowly lifted, can experience the pain. Imagine somebody who suddenly falls with a full body harness, what type of trauma he will experience. So I think it is very important that we leave them with some sort of long-lasting understanding about the right way of doing things. Over to you.
So if I may just add, sir, I absolutely 110% agree with you. And I believe what you very correctly said was that having a training which is not only classroom based, but also practical training, which is extremely important. So actually the IPAF course consists of having a half day. So there are various types of trainings we're doing. So it's, let's say, for a 1-day course and a 2-day course. So let's say for example, a 1-day course, it consists of a half-day classroom training and the balance half-day being on a practical training, which makes you run through all the features of the equipment as per each and every OEM standard. Going practically makes you really realize what are the factors that you really need to understand. As you correctly said, it's very difficult to understand over a presentation. So we do conduct that, and hope to actually see you in. We would be glad to hold a training session for you guys for a day or so, for a half a day, to just probably try and bring some improvements if we can, and to run it through. So we hold the course even in Hindi, English, depending on the classroom, and work further. Thanks.
So before we head over to the next question, Jason wanted me to ask you, Sir Mohit, do you consider the 3 parts? Do you consider training should consist of 3 parts: the theory, practical, and work carefully with students? What is your stand about those 3 parts?
So I think all three need to be obviously carried out during the part of training. We have wherever you are conducting training, we have about three training centers in India presently, where we have a classroom created as well as a practical area created, where we put a actual machine on site for the person to go on practically demonstrate. We've created, some kind of a fun concept where we've created in our training areas, where it's a 18 meter, 15 meter high structure, where it's created in a confined space, and there is a ball hanging in between. So you enter the operator enters the confined structure, touches the ball, comes out. So it's I think each part of those three things that you mentioned are very, very important to be conducted and managed and trained properly, and ensured that the student understands them. That's why we have a test question after that as well, and the way we run the course. Ali, back to you.
Okay, I think my boss Jason get frozen again. So I'll jump into the next question, which type of harness would you recommend being used in a mute or boom?
I think we already did this question, I believe.
Okay. Okay. Next. Sorry about that. For a mute operator to attend a harness training course.
I think these are done.
Wait,
Yeah.
there. Okay. I'll
Yeah.
jump into the questions from our audience. So the first question is, Sir, man basket are coming with overhead protection shed. Or nowhere I see overhead protection for MUPs. Can you explain from OEM or supplier or IPAF view?
So, sorry, Dr. Sen, should I answer that? I think, yeah. Can you hear me?
Dr. Sen, you're on mute.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, I'm mute. Mohit, you please go ahead. Yeah.
Sure. So, there are, depending on every OEM supplier, you do have a overhead, it's called a OPS, overhead protection system, in certain machines that exist. But to add a little more to that, which machines do not have that, and an easier way out, what we found is called a halo helmet, which is basically a helmet created, which has it's like a sensors created on top of the helmet. So as soon as you're reaching something close, the sensor starts to be going louder and louder. It's in simple words, when you're reversing a car, Sayender, when you're reversing a car, and when you're reaching close to the object, the sensor in the car, the noise keeps going louder and louder. So you have such kind of helmets available. I can at the end of the call, probably we can. I'll ask Jason to share a colleague's contact who can probably advise on these kind of helmets which are available. And actually, we've in Tata Steel, Kalinganagar, they are compulsory to be used wherever working on the machines. So we've conducted over 350 people training in Tata Steel Kalinganagar, and these helmets are compulsory to be used.
Dr. Sen, do you have a stand? Or do you want to also answer this question?
No, I think Mohit has given a very comprehensive answer, and I think fine. That is, he has already done
I
it.
agreed with that. So I'll jump into the next question. While using Mew, we are being instructed by someone of our customers to keep wheel chokers. Is it necessary to do so?
Mohit, I think you, as a trainer, I think you can give some
No, sir,
thought
no,
on it.
absolutely, Mr. Mullidhar, it's not, wheel chokers are not at all required. The machine is having its own self-braking systems on all fours. Even if one fails, the other automatically is there. So each and every wheel has its own brake system. So wheel chokers are absolutely not needed and not used anywhere in the world either.
Mm, okay. Okay. I think my boss is not coming back because the connection is being choppy all over there. And then there's no more question at this end. Hold on, I'll check. There's a new comment. Okay, there's a new comment. Let's take this comment and we'll end this. Okay, the last question would be: can we work standing on the mid rail if it's allowed by the manufacturer? Hmm. Wait, who's gonna answer this one?
I don't think manufacturer will allow this. I don't know. What is your experience, Mohit?
It's very difficult to say that if a manufacturer would allow this, but ideally it is not
This one's
recommended
here.
to be standing on the mid rail. Definitely not recommended to be standing on any mid rail and being working on height. The platform has been created for you to go into confined spaces and try and work from it. Yes, there are times uh, uh, where people tend to do this, but definitely uh, it is not. I'm a little skeptical if it's allowed by the manufacturer, but definitely I would not be recommending this. So, please.
Okay, do you want to answer one more? Because I think this one is a good question.
Yeah.
Okay. Is harness essential while working at MUP? The MUP is having a complete platform, and as we believe, PPE is always the last resort. If harness is essential, then where it should be anchored? If this MUP, then in case of the machine top. I think this is really an essential, having the right and the correct proper use of lanyard, right?
Dr. Sen, if I may, or would you?
Yeah, you can. Please answer. If required, I will come back. You please continue. Yeah.
Sure, sir. Sure. So it's definitely essential for having the right PPE and the harness on the platform. See, the platform. I wish I could show you a video, but the machine is moving. It is operated from the platform. So when you're marching, when you're marching or when you're moving with the machine, let's say there is a sudden a speed breaker or the ground being uneven, uh, uh, the tire goes on top of something. So due to the way the machine is made, you would get an impact on the platform, which might force the person to, if he's going on a certain speed, it would force him to automatically jump up. So during this jump up, it is definitely important to be restrained through a proper harness. Secondly, there are points created within the platform, which are specifically created points within the platform, which can again be shown correctly through an image, but especially welded joints which are created within the platform to be the right place where you have to be anchoring your hook onto. And please note, scaffolding hook is not the right hook to be used. It is a different type of hook to be used, which I'm sure Jason will share after this a few images of what I spoke to the whole participants so they try and get a better idea of this. And machine toppling is not it's only due to the movement, the the person coming out of the platform, and not the machine toppling.
I think you're preparing for these lanyards that should be attached on the anchor points.
Correct, correct, absolutely
Okay.
Not,
correct.
not the
And I,
carabiner, which I mean, it should require two hands control. Yeah.
yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
I'll
And
ask Jason to share a few photographs of this.
I will also add in what Jason sent me to tell. MUPs are not designed to tip it down to the HSE management selection training. The operator harness must be connected to the anchor points. I think he's referring for these lanyards also there. But there is always, I know that there are two, usually, there are two types of lanyard, but typically everyone is having a difficulty which is the correct one. So there is a full restraint and full arrest. Can you explain, Mr. Mohit, what is the difference and which is the real correct one to use? Is it the full arrest or the full restraint
I
lanyard?
think we already spoke about this, about the full body harness. I think which Mr. Dr. Sen actually explained very well about this.
Okay,
Yes.
there. So Dr. Sen, Mr. Mohit, do you want to invite anyone if you have an event coming soon, or do you want to take someone? You have the you have the
So we,
floor to invite or promote something.
So we would, at least I would like to, if anyone is interested in understanding more about the MUPS, where and having several questions, I would put a colleague's person who handles our training department. Um, I'll ask Jason to share a mail to all the participants, where we can probably hold a half day understanding of training physically at convenient locations within the country to understand more about MUPS and how MUPS are to be used. So MUPS, mobile elevated work platforms, aerial work platforms, boom lifts, scissor lifts, man lifts, whatever we might want to call them.
Okay. Thank you,
Yeah,
Dr.
yeah,
Mr. Mohit. Do you have something to say, Dr. Sen?
yeah. I just wanted to inform about scientific committee in the construction industry. There is a scientific committee in the construction industry under ICO, International Commission on Occupational Health, based out of Italy. So I am now the chair for the last. This is my last term, 2024 up to. So those who are in the safety professionals, I would encourage them to join ICO and become a part of scientific committee in the construction industry. Have a lot of, we are the largest, I think, in terms of the number of workers in the construction industry globally. I think India should have more people from construction industry in that platform, and that is a very, very rich in types of scientific research and in the other field as well. The construction is relatively smaller. So anyway, with this, I thank you for this opportunity to Jason and you all, and nice being here and having a very interesting discussion and also very interesting questions. Thank you.
Thank you also, Dr. Sen. Do you want to
Thank
add in
you.
more, Mr.
Sure.
Mohit?
Thank you. Just thank you, Jason. Thank you, IPAF. Pleasure, Dr. Sen, being a part of the panel, and thank you, participants, for having such wonderful questions.
Thank you, Mr. Mohit. Before we end this program, I would like to announce that we'll also have an exciting announcement to share with all of you. On November 14th, IPAF is traveling to Mumbai, India as part of an extended phase of the safety campaign. We'd like to invite you all to join us for this on-site event that will include safety session, masterclass, and on-site training for certain MUPs or ALPs. Additionally, I would also like to extend a warm invitation to all of you to attend WSH Asia's Awards Night on September 8th, and let's witness who will receive this year's Social Media Influencer Award for promoting safety. Again, we would like to thank the following sponsors: Hulit, JLG, iRise India, Manlif, our association partners, WSH Asia, World of Safety and Health Asia, WSH, World Safety and Health Africa, Middle East, and South Asia, OSHI, and our media partner, OSH India, and our height and safety supplier, USP, Ubique Safety Products. Again, thank you everyone. We appreciate all of you signing up for our event, and as a way of saying thank you, we're offering a free online meal for manager course with an international certificate to everyone who registered for this event. Again, thank you to everyone and have a nice day.
We would like to thank the following sponsors: iRise India, Manlift, JLG, Pulit, our media partner, OSH India, our association partners, WSH Asia, World of Safety and Health Asia, WSH, World Safety and Health, Africa, Middle East, South Asia, OSHI, Enhancing HSE and S Culture, Safety and High Supplier, USP, Ubique Safety Products.